Should you hit the panic button after 3 preseason games? We're about to get right into the show. Before we get into it, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's do it. Joined with Lito and Chaz on this Sunday night, presented to you by the Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Pro Pels Talk, located at 918 Poydras by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413 if you or someone you know has been involved in an accident. Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Pro Pels Talk. Chaz, let's start with you. It has not been a great start to the preseason. I guess that's nicely putting it. Are you worried after 3 games?
No, I'm not worried after 3 games. I'm worried after 2 years. I'm worried after 2 years. I think it's being misframed as like a preseason issue or like an issue with this. This is an ongoing thing. In fact, if you want to go back to Stan Van Gundy, you've seen just a real awkward fit between Brandon and Zion and their ability to succeed on the floor at the same time. Often, if Brandon is succeeding, it's at the expense of Zion and vice versa. With the big three, it was an awkward, clunky fit last season prior to Brandon's injury. And then, of course, Zion goes down. You got the injured CJ, so you never really get to see things in their final form or what have you. But I just say, I mean, I think it's a bad product. It's a bad product
right now, yeah. And listen, Chaz, you've been right on a lot of things, and I think that it's an interesting dynamic that needs to be discussed, right, Lito? But before, because we're going to dive into the Zion Brandon thing here in the next segment, but Lito, I want to get your thoughts. Like through the first 3 preseason games, you even tweeted something out. Maybe it was after the first or second preseason game. You're like, we can't say that it's just preseason and that this matters or doesn't matter. It's one or the other, right? And so, Lito, are you actually worried about the preseason results so far?
I'm worried about the not necessarily result. I don't like the winning and losing in preseason don't really bother me. I don't like the product though. I don't like the effort being given. I think that's the thing, because like the thing is, like, you're gonna make shots in the in the regular season that you may miss in preseason, but you know it shows you've been working on those shots. You've been working on those layups, those sets, the plays, the movement. But effort is not something you can afford to turn on and turn off, because this team has not had a consistent model of what it should look like. So you can't play around with the level of intensity. For me, that's the thing that bothered me. Like I said, wins or losses, I don't really care about them. I don't really care about them. But like, yeah, a lot of I know we go get into it, but for instance, that corner rebound at Brandon or Zion,
it was Zion when he leaked out. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was Dylan Brooks shot it from the left wing in the second half.
Yeah, you can't do that. You got to have rebounding principles. Everybody's supposed to rebound. It's a team effort. Don't just put that on JV. Don't just put that on Dyson. Like, yo, you got to get those rebounds, because if Zion get them, it's more dangerous than anybody else gets it.
Yeah, and to your point, Lou, you make a great point, and I want to make sure that this is clear. I don't care about the wins or losses. I care about, one, are they getting better, right? Is the fit, like, chemistry-wise, are they getting better, one? And two, the effort. I thought the effort was so bad in Birmingham, and I thought it was very obvious, right? And so, Chaz, I guess to our next point, and you have leaned on this, and I think you're a great person to talk about it, but playing through Zion. And there are a couple clips here. I'm just going to roll this one clip here of Zion against the Hawks, and it's it's a miss from Jordan Hawkins, but the is right there. We're gonna roll this clip. I'll show you right here. So as you can see, the defense moves, and look at the clean look Hawkins gets, right? And I know it's a miss. It's a miss. But do you see the defense just converge on him and just look after open look? Is this what you're more talking about, Chaz, of putting ball in Zion's hands and letting him make the decision?
Yeah, absolutely. And Jordan Hawkins, unfortunately, he had 2 shots rim out. I think CJ missed the look too, but those are quality shots. Like Zion, he he's a regular season phenomenon. Like, what I'm saying? If he can play enough games, I think you'll see a guy who just defenses are terrified of him. And he's not even in like quality shape at this point, quality basketball shape. I don't think anyone would argue that he is at this point. But it's like he's the only real advantage creator on that offense. And he commands so much attention. It's going to open up quality looks for a number of guys. And that's Jordan Hawkins. Like, the defense isn't even taking. I always say that I don't believe there's any such thing as spacing around Zion. You just have to be able to hit an open shot, because no one's going to like leave Zion to like who's that? Oh, that's Jordan Hawkins. It's like you trust Jordan Hawkins to take and make those shots, but no one's going to leave Zion. All you have to do is reap the benefits of the attention he gets. And unfortunately, we trying some things out in the preseason. It takes a long time to break bad habits and create new habits, but guys got to be willing, and the coaching staff has to be willing to buy into that philosophy.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Chaz, because I did see a huge adjustment from the game against Houston in Birmingham into the game against Atlanta. Now, it wasn't pretty, but the ball's in Zion's hands. And Lito, I'm going to roll this clip here because I think Chaz brings up Zion to CJ McCollum. I think this is an open three that's made, I believe. So as you can see, Zion again, the defense completely shifts with him. CJ's ready to roll here, kind of a post up, and then just and look, it's a miss, but still, it's a clean look again for CJ McCollum. And then the last time, Lito, this is Zion to Jordan Hawkins. So once again, the cut through, the fill, and it's just another clean look and another miss. It's not a bad miss. It's a rim in and out. But Lito, you see that, and you see just open look after open look. Is this just something that the Pelicans are just going to have to lean into? Like, hey, Zion, here's the ball. You go.
Yes and no. I don't feel comfortable doing that for 4 quarters.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't necessarily. I would need to see him have the basketball acumen to do that for an. I'm not even gonna say an 82 game season. Let's say a 65 game season and be in that kind of shape to do that. Like that's James Harden-esque feat that you would have to have the whole offense rely on you, get your points, and you would get them assists. I don't know if we can do that for 4 quarters. I'm personally, I feel like this team is probably going to be at its best. Now, mind you, in spurts, yeah, like give the points Zion, like let it go. In spurts, I think Brandon gives this team the best option as far as being on ball to get Zion in those spots or give the space, because at some point, you see boxes and elbows when Zion is not on the floor, but how do they play Brandon when Zion is on the floor? Like we still don't really know the answer to that yet. So still a lot of questions left to be answered. I did a podcast with Five and Chris the other day, and I said, if Brandon has to be the vehicle for this car to move, as far as like the one to give up probably the scoring portion of his game. So for me, Brandon, 21, 7 and 7. I know he averaged 24, 25 last year, but that 21, that decrease to me in points is the thing that the assists go up. And like, I'm not talking about for the last 2 weeks of the season, assists go up. I'm talking about for the entire season. He's going to be the hub of the offense. I think that's kind of what it has to be.
Chaz, what would you say to that? I'm interested to hear your thought on what Lito just said with the Brandon Zion thing, because I feel like I know what you're going to say, but I'm interested on why you think that.
I think I'm a big fan of the idea of Brandon at the one in that Ben Simmons role, and I think the thing I totally underestimated was how bad Brandon's handle was. Brandon has a really bad handle, and if you look at Willie Green's comments, he was like, teams, they're just going to pressure us, or they're just going to press us coming up the court. And it's like, that's how I would just totally disrupt the Pelicans offense. And I don't see a way Brandon really gets around that. Like we've seen a couple of, like him having some trouble bringing the ball up the court. So it's going to be a struggle to initiate the offense quickly. And I'm kind of kind of question buy-in a little bit because it's hard to ask somebody when they trying to get some money. And Brandon made his intentions clear. He like trying to get his money. So it's hard to ask somebody that, yo, take a step back. Once you pass the ball a little bit more, once you rebound a little bit more, lock in on defense a little bit more, and that's difficult. And so I totally understand it, but it's I just don't think that first step, the IQ or the handle is there to kind of sustain Brandon at the one at this point.
Would you say, I don't want to cut you off, Chaz, because I don't want to forget this thought though. Would you, I kind of agree with, like, Brandon's handle hasn't been great this preseason, but I'm thinking about who has a good handle on this team, because I've seen Zion fumble in base, like on a lot of moves. I've seen CJ. I mean, that handle's not that great either. Who would you say has the best handle on this team?
I would say the best handle would have to be CJ.
I know, but god damn, he's averaging like 5 fucking turnovers a night too.
See, here's the thing. A lot of CJ's turnovers have come from him trying to force entry passes, like kind of like goofy stuff, right? Also, if you're gonna have a bad handle, you gotta at least be fast. Like you gotta at least have a quick first step. Or if you're gonna have a not so quick first step, at least have a really crafty handle. Like Zion doesn't have a great handle, but he has an explosive first step. The other guys, like, Kyrie doesn't have a great handle at all, but Kyrie's really fast. CJ has a pretty good handle, doesn't have a great first step, so he has to be really crafty. Whereas a guy like Dyson and Brandon, they're so tall that when they dribble, they don't really get low with their dribble. They're not going to really cross people up or nothing like that. So it's easier for them to get ripped, especially by those smaller, pesky defenders. And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
And it's funny, the next segment, I know you're about to go, Lito, but the next segment is going to be talking about these turnovers because it is an absolute problem. But Lito, we're going to go ahead. You go ahead, and then Ross joined the show, but I'm going to get Ross on. I'm going to show a couple clips to Ross, but go ahead, Lito.
I agree with Chaz. I don't want Brandon being a conventional one either. Like, I don't want him. I don't want the ball being inbounded to him and him dribbling 94 feet up the court. I would like for whoever inbounds it, whether it be Jonas is probably gonna be the inbounder, but if CJ is the guy who brings it up, if Zion is the guy who brings it up, that's cool. I'm saying let the first pass be to him and then let him go forth like that.
And also, I've also noticed Herb Jones. I think he definitely led off the second game. The first and the second game where he brought it up first possession. But I don't know about the third game. But I'd be interested to see. I don't know how good Herb's handle is, but obviously he played point guard in college and for 4 years on all SEC guys. So, like, I'm interested to see if they would play through him or let him handle, because I agree with both of y'all. Like, I don't need point Zion for 48 minutes. And also, like, Brandon bringing it up, like, I don't need that for 48 minutes too, because, like, he also needs to be able to be a scorer as well. But Ross,
Herb can't be no worse, huh?
No, he can't. And I think Herb's got the IQ and he's smart enough to know where guys need to go and where to get guys the ball. So I'm interested to see if Herb's more of a one than others. But Ross, I was showing this clip again, but the Zion, the key, just how the defense reacts to him and the clean look that Hawkins gets here.
Halfway down.
Shoot. Sorry, but Ross, go ahead. See, what'd you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of look I would expect in the half court out of Zion, playing through Zion like that. I mean, the defense is going to, like, they're just going to crash like that. So, I mean, that's the reason you go draft a guy like Hawkins, or it's the reason you go look at any shooter. But yeah, those are the type of looks that in theory we should get as many as we want. It's just a matter of whether we have the personnel that can make that shot with regularity, which I'm highly skeptical still.
You know what I really want to see is what Trey Murphy looks like with that.
Right.
Because I'm telling you right now, you ain't doing that with Trey Murphy. There's just no way. That's all I thought about with Hawkins, because Hawkins is a great shooter, but I cannot not think about Trey Murphy getting that look right there. I mean, it is what it is.
2024, baby.
All right, let's get to the turnovers have been a talking point. Yesterday they had, I believe, a total of 24 turnovers, and then against Houston had 27. Lito, is this a problem?
They just turned the ball over. Like just now. I mean, it ain't good. Like, I mean, I don't see how this. I don't like. This is not something I feel like can be. If you don't take it serious, I don't see it resolving itself on its own.
How would you resolve it then? Tell me, how would you resolve it?
I mean, I feel like don't turn the fucking ball. Like, I mean, like, what you've been. Listen, what I feel like the offseason has been for things like tightening up your handle. You know what I'm saying? Making, I don't know, like open your eyes when you pass the ball. Like, I feel like this is not a difficult thing. Like, you've been playing basketball since like 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, like the turnovers. Yo, that lane not there. Why would you make that pass? You've never made that pass in practice. Why are you making that pass right now? You've never tried to make that dribble move throughout the whole training camp. You didn't work on that. Why are you doing that right now? There's a double team. You can't dribble through them. Pass it. I don't feel like this is rocket science. Like I feel like you just have to do simple things.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do y'all actually care about you care about these turnovers in a preseason game?
I do.
Like you're
I think it's bad habits.
You're
I personally
concerned that like game 2, 3, we're still, man, this is. I mean, you're running the same starting 5 you ran out there last year. At the start of the season. I mean, how much of this though is just like is sloppiness versus just like rust, getting back into game shape? CJ coming off of like surgery this offseason, kind of getting himself back into like just seeing things and how fast lanes close and this and the other. Like for me, I hear you. For me, this is just a total non-issue.
Can I say something before Chaz and Leo go? We were 21st in the league last year in turnovers. That's just where I'm at on it.
If you're looking at like the bigger picture, yeah, I
don't see it getting better. That's worrisome to me.
Well, I think you do want to know the answer to that question is because you don't have
a point guard.
Yeah, like that. I feel like that it's not going to get better because of your personnel.
Chaz or Lito, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's an IQ and personnel issue. I think if you look across the board with this team, I also think it's a coaching issue. The reason I say that is because you look across the board with this team, there's no like solid foundation. Like, as far as they don't pay attention to detail with the smaller things. Like there's no accountability for doing stupid stuff. Like I saw a lot of times yesterday, I saw a couple drives. Well, maybe the defenders, they got a little, it was some contact. Could have been a call here and there, maybe slap down on the wrist, something like that. Could have been a call. But too often, it's just like a wild across the court pass, a dumb pull-up mid-range jumper that's essentially a turnover because it leads to a fast break play. There's no angry timeout. Get over here. What are we doing? There's no accountability for us that. And also, guys don't really play together. They don't play together in the regular season because someone's always hurt. And, you got some ego when they are on the floor happening. And they don't play training camp was what, a few days? Like it's training camp a few days. They don't play together in the off season. So there's no real chemistry. And man, when you see a team like Atlanta or Houston, you're like, we do not got no great athletes in that starting lineup. And it really shows like this is not a very athletic team. And when you got to run for a 50-50 ball or something like that, a jump for a rebound, it's like, it looked kind of bad.
It's like this to me. As far as like to answer Russ's question, like everything is a habit. Everything is about like procedures and plans and implementing certain things. Like today, right? Why the hell is it 2nd and 1 and you throwing it 30 yards down?
There's no way you're bringing the Saints in here. I listen. I had to watch that for 3.5 hours today. I don't want to talk about that. I don't. Pete Carmichael's fucking awful. That it is what it is. That's the answer. Go.
The implementation of certain things. You telling me you don't have nothing in the playbook on 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, dog? Like you don't have a play where you could get 1 yard. You got to get 30 of them. I'm saying that to say, as far as like the Pelicans, Justin said 24th. To me, like when you bring that up, it's saying you have a chronic problem already, and these things are not either being addressed or like they simply just not getting the message.
That's what's worrisome to me, Lito. And shout out to you, by the way. Like if you're looking and watching right now, like sick, but he still showed up. That's energy right there. It's team player. So I always appreciate you, Lito. But I want to get back
like
to
out, guys.
there are two turnovers. There are two turnovers that are in my mind. One was a Kyra Lewis turnover, and I clipped it up today. Zion's calling for the lob. It's transition 3-on-2, I think it was, and Kyra bounced it to Brandon Ingram, who was cutting to the elbow, which I didn't understand that either. But neither here nor there. But you probably throw it up to Zion there. But Kyra and Zion, how many minutes do you think those two have been on the court together? Seriously. Like, so everyone's like bashing Kyra, and I'm like, this could be a chemistry thing. The second one was Zion turns it over. Of course, he's late back. Then we get the turnover, and Brandon throws like this chest pass, and Zion's just not open, and it turns into another turnover, and the Rockets get a layup, and it is what it is. They're just making not smart decisions with the basketball. That's what drives me insane.
I won't say I didn't watch any of the second game. Caught some of the third and all of the first. And for me, in what I've seen, it's just seemed real. And I said this, I think, after the first one, that it just felt like summer league-ish. And I guess that's kind of what preseason like sort of feels like in general. Maybe.
Not between the Suns and not between the Warriors and the Lakers.
It's just felt real like lackadaisical, real like, hey, I'm going hoop with my partners, on Sunday morning in the off season. Like, I just hadn't seen a real like focus on detail. I hadn't seen a real like attention to doing small things. It's just been a little bit to me of like, hey, let's just go get, let's go get our legs back under us, kind of not real worried about the outcome or the process of the details in these games. We're just really going out there to run and kind of get back in shape, get back, see the game. And like, I sort of take preseason with a grain of salt, but that's just been my like takeaway from the game and a half I've watched, is that these are not games we've played to like get better or win. It's like games we've played to just be like, hey, we're playing these games. We're going to get in shape. We'll be ready to go for the first game. That's my like feeling. That could be just, maybe nobody else has that feeling.
I'm just built. I just feel like I'm built a little different because I see the Warriors and Lakers and like, it means something to them in preseason. Like we need to realize that we've won one playoff series in a decade. Like one playoff series, we don't have the opportunity to like, we'll just roll the ball out and play. Like I think that's bad. That builds bad habits, and you see the turnovers. And like I'm hoping that they can fix this in the next couple of weeks. But Chaz, it looks like you want to get it.
I just want to say the problem is, and we'll talk about this a little later in the show, but too many guys feel safe, right? It's too much comfort and security with some of these guys. And I'm mainly talking about, let me just be frank, I'm talking about Brandon and Zion. Brandon feel like I'm getting paid no matter what anyway, because as long as this guy's unreliable, I'm the big man on campus. So he got all the security in the world. And Zion, he's like, well, if y'all ain't gonna give me the ball, I'm just gonna walk through everything. Like I'm not gonna give you the effort. You know what my best assets are, right? If you don't want to utilize that, like the great Asante Samuel once said, y'all don't want my big playability. When y'all don't want my big playability, then it is what it is. I'll just stand in this corner or stand out of bounds. I'm not gonna really.
Was that with New England? Was that what he did?
That's when the Eagles brought in Nnamdi Asomugha, and they had three corners.
What does that say about what does that say about leadership though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a valid point. What does that say when the guys who are the best players on the team, you feel like if I'm Jordan Hawkins and I'm coming into this organization and it's a preseason game and I'm going 100, you know what I'm saying? Every rep, it seems, even though he's missing the shots, Jordan gonna be nice. Jordan is showing real ability in limited minutes.
He's running full speed.
But like, what does that say to him? What does that say to what I'm saying? The other guys, I can't think.
Dyson,
yeah. Like, what does that say to them if the guys are not? I think that's where like having veterans who can actually play hurts this team. Besides CJ and maybe Jonas, like when you don't have those guys, I know we brought in Temp last year. Shout out to him. That's a good guy, man. I'm glad he's gone. But like when you have like people like that,
Damn.
you know what I'm saying, who not necessarily like can like Justin, if you're giving me advice, but I'm seeing you hoop, and I'm like, yeah, you're not good. I'm not about to listen to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you got to be able to actually walk the line. We not the Miami Heat. The culture shit, I don't want to hear it because
or you had to at some point, right? Like even
Yeah.
if you can't do it today, there's got to be a lot from the fact that you did do it at some point.
But that's why I respect the fuck out of Herb Jones, man. Like Herb plays every game like it's game 7. It doesn't matter where he's playing. Like that's why,
but Justin,
the only 8 minutes,
$200 million, and he's not Brandon Zion.
There's a certain look. Najee hasn't had the best preseason, right? But he's another guy who runs full speed. Whether he's making a mistake or not, the effort is always there. And that's because there's something to be said about a Herb Jones, a Jose, Najee, certain guys who kind of had to take the rough path into the league.
Yep.
There's less entitlement. You know what I'm saying? With the lottery guys, we've seen it with Jackson Hayes. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Dyson. You know, Dyson, he's putting forth some effort. But you see some guys who just seem to have all the gifts. They just get by doing the bare minimum for so long. And by there not being a strong voice, look, Griff, if you really pay attention and decipher what Griff said in that presser, that media day presser, he told you ain't no leaders on this team. Like he said it. He was like, yeah, we don't really have like an alpha. He said it. And I'm shocked he said it, but he said a lot. So he's like, yeah, I would love for Zion to be that guy, but so far he isn't. Like he just said it.
I mean, Griff's safe. He can say whatever he wants to. Like it's other guys who necessarily aren't safe. I think like we were talking. I was just watching Milwaukee versus the Lakers, and I'm looking at a Giannis Dame pick and roll, and so far, like in the early makings of it, has been efficient.
Right.
I don't know about a Brandon and Zion pick and roll yet. Like I don't know, and it's crazy that I don't know.
You don't even see it. Can you literally name a time you saw a Brandon Zion pick and roll? I'm serious. I've watched film all the time. I don't remember seeing one.
They treat them like segregation. They're always on one side of the court. It's Jim Crow. Like they're like one guy's on one side, the other guy's on the other side. They don't intertwine. It's weird. Like you can't win like that, especially when those are your two best guys have unique and very different abilities. They play nothing alike. You should be able to intertwine that.
Yeah. Look, it hasn't looked great, but there's still time, and we're so early on. But I don't think that we're wrong for bringing up these thoughts because it's what we've been seeing. And I just think like the turnovers, like Ross, to your question, like I think it's a big deal. Like you might not think it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal because it's bad habits. And I'm not like saying you have to respond to that. I'm just going off of like, these are big deal. Like to me, this is a big deal. You build bad habits.
It's like not that I don't think it's a big deal. It's that I think once you get into games that matter, there will be a higher level of attention to detail. We weren't good. You gave the stat. Like we weren't good in that department last year. And for me, that's a personnel issue. I don't know, but it feels a little bit like a personnel issue to me. And I think there will be a higher level, of attention to detail. But look, to y'all's point, this is why I was sitting here thinking earlier, like, this is why it's so hard to try to project anything out for the Pelicans. Like I'm sitting here thinking, I just asked myself earlier, like, we're almost a regular season. Like, what's the upside? Like, what do I think the record will be this year? And it's just hard. I mean, last year, we won 42 games, 41, 42? I think we were
42. We had a 43. No, 42.
Right. And then before that, we hadn't finished over 500 and whatever it was, 5 or 6 years. And it's like, I can't sit here and say we're going to win 50 games, like with any level of confidence. That seems like a crazy thing for me to say because I just have so many forget the injuries. I still just have so many questions. And I hate to be that guy, but like, I got to see it. Like I got to see it for 2 months, 2.5 months before I like can just really get back on board that the upside here is like a round 1 playoff win, a round 2. Like I just don't, I don't know where I'm at yet.
And I don't have this in the notes, but I feel like we should talk about it. But Chaz, like the Zion, you mentioned something early on, but the Zion, like he wasn't involved earlier in the first quarter against Houston and Birmingham. And it just like he looked like he shut down, like he didn't want to be there. That's a problem to me as well, because like I get it, like you're frustrated, but one, you're supposed to be the face of the franchise, and two, you're supposed to be one of the leaders of the team, and you're just going to shut down just like that. Like that to me is also a problem.
Yeah, I feel two ways about that. Firstly, on one half, I agree with you, right? Because I feel like, look, if you want to go out there, if this is how you're feeling, there's two ways you can respond. You can respond with violence, like you could take over the game, like
Right.
yep, go sit down somewhere. Because the way I feel, I'm like they're not better than you, and nobody on the team probably can whoop your ass. So you got
Right.
you got the room to do what you need to do. But on the other end, I feel like this, boss. I feel like everyone knows the answer, right? I feel like everyone knows the answer. Like, I'm the best player. You don't got a shot without me. The best brand of basketball is with me at the reign, with me with the reins, right? You've seen it already. You've seen it several times. You've seen it for a little bit last year. You've seen it with Stan Van Gundy. Like you give credit to Stan Van Gundy for unlocking Point Zion, and y'all never done anything significant without me, right? Why should I have to go out of my way to be involved in offense? And it's not like there's a bunch of movement and all this passing and cutting and diving, and I'm just not getting the ball. Y'all look like shit. Y'all look like shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like there's all this buy-in into the offense, and I'm just the one not buying in. It stinks. It looks bad. It's a bad product, right? It's some, like I said before, it was after the Bucks game. It's some random guy throwing the ball. When I'm not there, it's some random guy throwing the ball. And so I understand the frustration. It brings me back to that Kobe Bryant Suns game where Kobe was just like, I'm not shooting. Go ahead. And I think Zion's lack of effort in that game was a little bit overstated. And I'll tell you why. There were several points early in that game defensively where I saw him get down to a low defensive posture. I saw him jump like 3 or 4 times in a row to go after a 50-50 ball. I saw the effort there early. It lasted about 5-10 minutes, but it was there early. Once you get into like the second quarter, end of the first quarter, it was over. He quit.
Chaz, can I just add one? I just want to ask you something because, again, I didn't see the game, and I've just heard y'all talk about it and read a little bit. But as kind of a third response, and this is what I would want to see from Zion. It's kind of what I think Griff was alluding to in the preseason is like, instead of you shutting it down, I would rather see you be almost demonstrative verbally.
Yeah.
Like, even in a preseason game of like, hey, this is bullshit. I'm going to verbally say that so that you all see that we all know this is bullshit. And if we play like this in the regular season, we're going to get our ass kicked. Give me the damn ball. Like I'm at this point, I'm perfectly okay with like Zion, like having a show of emotion like that, whether it be in a timeout, on a dead ball, whatever. Like, that's what I would want to see. Like, hey, this is my team. Like, all of you need to know that. And I think that's kind of what you were saying. I don't think that's in his person. Maybe it is. Maybe, but like, if it isn't in his personality, he needs to find that. Like, he's going to have to find that.
That's what I meant by respond with a little bit of violence.
Right. Yeah.
you gotta,
Lito, go ahead.
I feel like Zion got to lead by example. Like, but you have to lead by example. You have to. We killed Willie Green. I want to apologize to head coach William Green. I want to apologize to you because you came out and you said we didn't install anything for Zion Williamson. There was no set set up for him yet, and we killed him, and rightfully so, because that sounds crazy. Only for Pop to come back out the next night and say the same thing about Wemby. We haven't installed anything for him, and Wemby go out and use his intangibles and his ability, and he did it himself, and not need to get anybody to do anything for him. So. Which, I mean, obviously, I'm not comparing them to, but I'm saying, like, Zion can handle the ball. Like, Zion, you need somebody to tell you when to shoot. You need somebody to tell you when to pass. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second, simply because I saw Trey Murphy. Willie said the same thing. Trey didn't have anything set up for him in the offense, and Trey literally went, "Fuck that! I'm going supernova. I'm not looking. I'm not looking for guys. I'm gonna get my shot." I don't understand.
Do you think, and whoever wants to answer this, do you think it's a possibility that he's played 29 games in 2 years? He's had some off-court issues. Like maybe he doesn't feel that he could do that just yet?
I don't know. The reason why I say that I don't know is because a person's temperament is their temperament, right? It just sometimes you can even with Zion, with the quiet, stoic thing he's trying to do, it's like it's not who you are. So eventually it's gonna break down. It's a facade, right? I think that might have been his way of sending a message. Shutting down might have been his way of sending a message because it's like, look, you have blown out without integrating me into the system. We've seen how this go. I ain't really gotta say it, but at the same time, since there is no clear hierarchy, I think you can't let certain people get away with thinking they're on the same level as you, right? Because that's when confusion happens. It's like if you're paying all the bills and you got a roommate, you're paying all the bills, and your roommate tells you, "Hey, I didn't say you could have guests." You're like, "Yo, what? Are you crazy? Like, are you crazy?" So I think it's hard to do that when Brandon thinks y'all 1A, 1B. It's like, nah, brother, we not 1A, 1B. We're 1A, B something. Like we not. Nah, you give the ball to Will. Like you give the ball to Will here, and that's the confusion. Pass to the Will. And that's where Willie Green, I think, is failing because you got to establish a clear hierarchy amongst these guys. If they're not going to do it themselves, you got to do it. And
I'm gonna let you lead over in a second, but to Chaz's point, if the players aren't going to lead, well, then the coach needs to lead. Because if no one wants to step forward and actually lead this team and get into somebody and pause and challenge people, well, then the head coach has to do that, or someone the coach. Someone's got to step up here. But Lito, go ahead.
Man, it's only so much Willie Green can do.
No, and I agree. There's only so much he can do, right? And
if you give a fuck, if you care about this shit, like we keep talking about who's the leader between Brandon and Zion. We keep talking about who's the leader. Nobody is claiming to be leader. Neither one of them. I feel like they don't want to step on each other's toes. But until somebody steps up and they're like, yo, fuck it, this is my team, then you're going to have this situation. Somebody's going to have to take a back seat. Hey, bro, we all can't get 25 shots a game. We all can't. We all not created equal. We all don't have the same skill. And until one of them realizes that, Willie Green can say whatever he wants to. But on the floor, it's noticeable there's a disconnect there. And again, I understand this preseason. I totally get it. But the process is not currently working in these 3 preseason games.
This is the unfortunate reality of Zion not playing a lot. Like that's just what this is, right? Because I think we all know this, that like for this team to have any level of true success, they've got to lean all the way into maximizing whatever Zion can give you. That's the only way. That's fine and good to say, but going back since Zion's been in New Orleans, it's been impossible to do that because he doesn't play. Okay. And all of the other guys on the court, maybe it's on purpose, maybe it's subconscious, maybe it's just muscle memory, right? They're used to playing without him at this point. And so I think it's hard to just totally like re-ingratiate somebody like that just on a whim. And I don't know if Zion expects that kind of treatment, but it is hard, at least in my head, to think that like BI, like, yeah, he probably doesn't just see that. Like, it's like, oh yeah, let me take this back seat real quick. For a guy that hasn't he just doesn't have the sweat equity. Like it just doesn't. It's unfair because for the team to do anything when he plays, it's got to be all through him, through Zion. But up to this point, they haven't been able to build any rapport. They haven't been able to build anything that they can just go to because it's just been so infrequent. And that's why I'm kind of giving this preseason stuff a pass again. But that for me is the issue. This is all of these things are just a product of Zion not having been on the court in his time here. Like it's just a reality. I don't.
Yeah, can I push back just a little bit before we go to the next segment? I'll say this. I think this goes way back to the first season, truthfully, and especially during that Stan Van Gundy season. I think when Zion shows up, the rising tide lifts all boats. And unfortunately, that means BI got to go sit down somewhere. And BI just don't like that brand of basketball, which I understand. He don't like, we saw it in FIBA again. He don't like being off ball. He's uncomfortable. He don't know what to do with his hands. He's just awkward, right? He's real awkward off ball. And he dislikes it so much. He told Stan Van Gundy, yo, you got to get up out of here, dog. Like that ain't gonna happen. Like, I'm uncomfortable with this. And that's a year where Zion played like 90% of the season. I think, man, I hate it's those two. In my opinion, it's those two. I think those two just will never work for several reasons. On court and off court reasons. That don't mean they dislike each other as human beings. I just think I think some people would rather not win than win a certain way. Like, you know what I'm saying? It like I don't want to win like that, so I just rather not win. And that's not, on both sides, that's not a good psyche to have. And unfortunately, it comes at the peril of the team because it's like, we talked about this. You listen to that Hawks broadcast, no one else seems confused about, who matters on this team the most. You know what I'm saying? No one in the NBA thinks it's like a thing. They're just like, yeah, if Zion plays, they'll be good. If he doesn't play, they'll be bad. No one thinks of, Brandon, unfortunately. But it's like, it's just it is what it is. Like, it's just,
Yo.
Quickly, Lito, because we have the next.
I just want to say something as like a fan, as somebody watching the show. Bro, I'm fucking tired. Bro, figure this shit out. We in year fucking 5, dog. Like, what are we talking about? Is whose team is this? Whose team is that? I can't play hard because the plays isn't being called for me. Bro, you're a fucking millionaire. You're a millionaire basketball player. Like, I'm so sick of I'm so sick of, like Chad said, day one, the holding of hands, fuck that. Look him in his face, tell him what it is. Whether you're Brandon and you feel that way about Zion, whether you're Zion and feel that way about Brandon. I don't care about being friends. I just want a team to win. I want them to play well. I want a hierarchy to be set somewhere. And again, Willie Green can't do that. And you know what? Brandon probably feels like Chad said. He hasn't been reliable. He hasn't been on the court. And Zion probably feels like I'm better than him. My results are different from him when I'm on the court. But at the same time, like, you can't make the club in the tub. Right? Yeah. Shout out to Chaz. So, like, I mean, bro, I'm just tired of not having. It's year 5. I know it's a preseason game, but I'm tired of not having answers. Everything is a question.
Let's hear from our friends over there at DraftKings Sportsbook. Well said, Lito. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball's back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You'll start the season with an instant dub. Basketball's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOT. The crown is yours. Shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook. Chaz, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Dyson, Kyra, and Hawkins early on?
Like the energy. I like Dyson playing as a 3-and-D wing. I like the rebounding. I like the effort. I know Hawkins, he's moving, he's putting them shots up. Right now they aren't falling at an incredible rate, but I think he's still like 39% on the season. On the preseason. Kyra, I like the energy. I like his ability to get to the rim, showing some effort defensively. And one thing I'll say, especially about Kyra, is that he's going to make more mistakes because the last time you seen him play was in that sudden death play-in matchup after he had been sitting for about a month and Willie Green just threw him out there, So he hasn't had a lot of minutes to kind of figure out his role. probably still looking over his shoulder a little bit. But I like the energy and the effort from the young guys. Like a couple of things I saw from EJ Liddell the other day. And one last point. We asked Brandon to shoot more threes. Brandon is about 1 of 4-11 in the preseason.
That's an interesting stat. I'm gonna have to look into that because I've noticed he's been trying to get him up.
That's good. The effort though is there.
Lito, we just got. I'm not worried about Kyra and Hawkins. I don't want to hear your thoughts on that. I want to hear about Dyson Daniels. And I'm sure Chris Connor wants to hear your thoughts on Dyson Daniels as well.
I see what's happening. All right. Dyson has looked well. Dyson has played well. He has been on the boards. Dyson is rebounding well. I've seen him attempt like 3 putback dunks in 2 games. His handle is still weak, but he giving hella effort. That man is giving hella effort on just in the game in general. Put him in spots on the court where he can win. Let him be the connector and not the facilitator. And I think you'll get the best version of Dyson Daniels. I know you don't want to talk about Hawk and Kyra, but
that was a joke. Of course, you can talk about him.
Listen, man. Jordan Hawkins is gonna be bro. He's so smart. He finds how for instance, we just saw the bum ass Saints play, but how a quarterback will find gaps in the defense behind the zone, like maybe just camp out behind a linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Jordan Hawkins does that in basketball. He will literally just find an angle and he will wait until either there's a dribble penetration or like there's movement on the defensive end, and he will just kick behind the other guy and just pop out and get an open look. And you can't teach those kind of things. Kyra's still raw as a player, still has a long way to go. But his speed, man, is just something that you can't teach other guys on this team. I'm just happy. I'm happy to get minutes. I want them to make mistakes. Those are the guys who I want to have turnovers. I don't care about any of that for them. I just want to see the process. Dyson is playing really well. Fuck Chris Conner.
Leo, this is the I think this might be the play you're talking about. I'm gonna unmute you while the clip's going so we can talk about it. Damn it, I messed it up. I messed it up.
Can't do it like that.
I can't do damn StreamYard, man. Wait, let me run it back. Maybe so as you can see, I'll talk. You see the Dyson cut and the Hawkins fills up like just like that. That's impressive from both of them because Dyson's a smart slot cut, and when Hawk sees that slot cut go, Hawk fills up instead of staying in the corner. Like that's a 20-year-old, right? And Dyson Daniels, how old's Hawkins? 20?
I think so.
21, I think.
21. I mean that's impressive right there for those two guys. Ross, what have you seen from those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I won't belabor the point. I've been satisfied, I think, with what I've seen from both of them. Love the effort. Hawkins definitely seems like a guy. Like you can tell that he's played this way, like that, doing things like that. His whole he didn't just pick that up. They didn't just, he didn't get to training camp and they're like, hey, we really need you being smart, on the perimeter, looking for shots. That's a guy who is very accustomed to finding space outside of whatever the hell's going on in the offense. And I think that's why he's going to be a useful NBA player at some point. Like I was saying, Dyson, Kyra has not done a lot for me. I just don't see where he's really improved from his rookie year. He hasn't shown. Everybody talks about Kyra's speed, and yes, he's fast, but it's not. I thought other than in transition, like in a leak out situation, his speed doesn't translate into the half court for me, and so it's really negated in terms of it being effective for me. I think he shot the three pretty good when he was at Alabama. That hasn't translated to the NBA. I haven't seen him sort of take that step where I'm like, oh, I see a path here to 16, 14 quality minutes a night for Kyra in the NBA for a whole season. I hadn't seen that. But a guy, that Chaz mentioned that wasn't one of your questions is I thought EJ gave great effort too in that last game. The little bit I saw, He kind of hits the board. He chips in everywhere. There's kind of a Swiss Army knife feel to him. And I think at some point this year, he's going to be a guy. He's not going to change anything and from a real big picture this year, but I think he's a guy that's going to be able to give you quality minutes and fill in some holes like across, whether it be injuries. Pause on that, by the way.
I was about to say y'all would have crushed me for that one. But go ahead.
But he's going to be able to. He's going to be able to do some things. I think across a few different positions and just give you good effort. I kind of would like what I've seen out of him.
Okay. Do you want to say something later or no?
Listen. I was trying not to say this, but Kyra was shooting 50% from three.
I knew that was you have Kyra stats like on the back of your head or something, man. You love that.
He was shooting.
That's great. I hope he shoots 50%. I haven't seen that.
No, he was shooting 50% in the regular season. I'm saying regular season last year he was shooting 50%.
But as Chaz would say, what's the volume on that?
Yeah, bro.
He shot 50% from three. In the
Chaz called me on my shit early on the Brandon volume stuff. I was like,
but you know, I was wrong about Brandon. He's not 1 for 11 in the preseason. He's 1 for 10 from three in the preseason.
Hey, improvement.
Yeah, 10% numbers going up, baby.
There it is. Last thought. So shout out to, or not. I'm sorry.
44%.
I am very happy on the Najee Marshall news. It looks really, really bad. I thought, and the way Graf was saying, it was a torn ACL for sure. He was out for the year. It looks like it's just a hyperextension, and he's be out for a couple of weeks. What's that, Chaz? Me? What did I do?
No, laughing at it. So nothing.
Oh, is that okay? So, Lito, do you think that, like, did you think Najee was in front of Dyson in the rotation going into the year? Like, if Najee was healthy, did you think Najee was in front of Dyson? You did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this kind of gives a pathway now for Dyson to take over those minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that he's successful in that takeover. I hope that he gets, put in spots where he can be successful. And I hope they don't put a ton on his plate where he feels like, he has to, and then he doesn't succeed in it, and then he just doesn't see the floor again. I think that is a recipe for disaster. Dyson's shot has looked really nice. So if I want him to continue to shoot it, I just don't want him involved in the ball handling, to be honest. Like, that's really the only thing that I got for him. And look, man, make mistakes, be aggressive. I don't care about the necessarily the turnovers coming from you. I just want you to be aggressive.
Chaz, go ahead, and then Ross will close us out.
I feel like Najee just does something different. I feel like Najee is one of the guys who can get in more so into the teeth of the defense, kind of get downhill a little bit more, get to the free throw line. And I feel like he's an energy guy. And that's why I would separate him and Dyson, because I feel like Dyson, he had a couple plays where he has gotten into the teeth of the defense. I just seen more regular. I think Najee has more regular season skins on the wall, pause, for lack of a better term, than Dyson might. So, I've seen 20-point outputs from Najee consecutively when he's gotten consistent minutes, especially when he's playing with the starters, which, with this team, more than likely he's going to have an opportunity to do, depending on when he comes back. But I definitely like what I've seen from Dyson. And hey, man, I think Dyson ready to take over a couple people's job, man. A couple people making big money, and I think Dyson he ready to move into that,
Okay, it's going to be interesting because before I get to Ross, though, with Najee, Chaz, his energy, and I agree with you. Like, he gets in the teeth of defense, his energy is great. I think he's just over dribbled a lot here in this preseason. I haven't really minded any of the shots he's taken. I know he works really hard on that. It just feels like he's been trying to force the issue a little too much, which has been then, resulting in turnovers, bad shots, stuff like that. But I'm just glad that he's okay because look, man, we can't lose another player, especially like we can't lose a guy to a season-ending injury. So, Ross, close us out here on Najee and Dyson. And we got
I don't really want Najee taking any minutes from Dyson, whether healthy or otherwise. I do think Najee has a place in the rotation. I just feel like it's a different place than Dyson. I think Dyson gives you some stuff that did not. But at the same time, we've seen, Chaz's point, we've seen Najee come in, provide great energy and toughness and kind of a little grit in spots over the years that Dyson definitely is not going to bring you. He's just not he's not that type of gritty player where things get physical and do some of those things. I don't think he's ready to do that yet. But I think in terms of being a connector, doing so, wing defending, and like I said, I like what I've seen out of Dyson's shot. His shot to me looks like it is improved. I kind of want to see some minutes with Dyson and Zion on the court together. I think there's parts of their games that feel like they fit to me. And so I'm curious to see what that looks like if this opens up a few more minutes next to Zion.
Interesting. Anyone else? Ain't got anything?
Yo. Blake Groupie trash. Leave that man where he at.
Hey, can you do a show on your on your platform? I'd love to see that because that would be hilarious.
Fuck the Saints, man. I'm not wasting no energy on them. I might
say
Thursday night against Jacksonville. That should be interesting. So, Pelicans play when, Chaz? Tomorrow, Tuesday?
Yeah,
who cares?
Yeah, they play tomorrow. I say this. I think we've seen more than we realize we've seen, and I think we've seen enough of it. And it's time you gotta call an audible at some point. So we'll see.
Like, comment, subscribe, and by the way, Chris Rosaglu of Straight Up Saints had an incredible podcast live show today, right after the Saints lost to the Texans. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go check that out. Like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear your thoughts on preseason panic. Love to hear your thoughts on Kyra, Dyson, Jordan Hawkins, Zion
Ramon, any of them.
There you go. Hey yo, I got a 2-pick.
It's the bad guy.
Later.